Greetings, everyone. It's Cafecito time. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Cheers. Delicious. Mitch, as always, the ever loyal Mitch. Thank you for being on. Appreciate you. So, we are pretty much exactly where we wanted to be heading into the bye week. Miami is 4-0, looking way better on offense than I thought they would. Looking about as good on defense as I thought they would. Special teams, we got a returner, folks. We got a hell of a kick returner on Brashard Smith. So special teams slightly better than I thought as well. So would I say they are exceeding my expectations heading into the season? I would say so far, yes. You guys let me know. What do you think? Honestly, try to remember, go back to August before the season starting. Try to remember your expectations going in. Because when we did that prediction show, I went game by game. My prediction, the math I came up with, going game by game, predicting game by game, I came up with 8-4 at the end of the season. I'm like, okay, that's fair. That makes sense. I am not recalibrating my prediction just yet, even though maybe I should. A 4-0 start, as good as we've looked, maybe I should. But you know what? I'll wait to do it halfway through the season, which would be after the UNC game. That's the midway point of the season. Then I'll recalibrate because I need to see us against another really good team. But so far, can't complain. Week 1, we put a beat down on Miami of Ohio, the fake Miami, 38-3. And honestly, all we did was run the ball pretty much. We were a little worried about TVD's finger. But his finger looked just fine against Texas A&M. We opened it up a little bit. They stacked the box against the run. And it was like, you know what? We're going to sling that rock. And we did. We put 48 points on a seems like a pretty solid SEC team in Texas A&M, even though they did just lose Connor Wigman. So I feel for them, honestly, because that really sucks for your season to be done just as it's getting going. That sucks. But when we played them, they were a really, really solid, talented football team, and we beat them by 2 touchdowns. Shooting ourselves in the foot in the process, still beat them by 2 touchdowns. Then take care of business against Bethune-Cookman. We all expected that. Didn't really try to run up the score or anything, 48-7. That was all we needed to do. Got some reps for the young guys. Go on the road to Temple. Nice, not really, I wouldn't call it a test, but maybe the part about them going on the road for the first time all season and it being inclement weather with the rain and the cold and the wind. Still, after that first drive, watching that first drive, I knew, okay, Temple doesn't have a chance. They're not stopping the run. They're not going to be able to stop it the whole game. We're going to run it down their throats. TVD is going to hit his throws when he has to, and we're going to pull away in this one, and we did. So far, so good, man. 4-0 heading into the bye. Only thing I don't like is that, we got some a few we'll call them minor injuries because I don't think anybody's missing extended time that I know of. And by extended time, I mean 6 to 12 games, something like that, 7 to 12 games. I don't think anybody's missing that kind of time. Hopefully, cross my fingers, that's the case, but we'll see. Mario doesn't really share a lot of injury news, except when he came out and said after the Temple game that Henry Parrish and Matt Lee, that's nothing serious. They're fine. He pretty much came right out and said, nope, they're good. He kind of just nipped that in the bud right away. So he doesn't normally do that. So that leads me to believe that, really neither injury was really that serious. So you give me Henry Parrish, Matt Lee, maybe you get Nigel E. Kelly back for this Georgia Tech game. I'm feeling pretty good. Speaking of the Georgia Tech game, something dropped earlier today. The announcement of us wearing our Miami Knights uniforms. And they look, you guys let me know. What do you think of them? I like them. I think they look really nice. I love the glow in the dark feature. And yeah, and on the announcement, they featured Cam Kinchins. Now, it would be really cruel for the team to just post Cam Kinchins like that, modeling the uniforms, and he doesn't end up playing. I mean, that would be pretty cruel to the fans. So I feel like that was their kind of sneaky way, not so sneaky way of saying, yeah, Cam's going to be ready to go. I'm hoping. Honestly, you got Matt Lee and Cam Kinchins available and ready to go. My little bit of worry in this game, which I always have a little bit of worry going into a game if it's like a conference game or something like that, even if we're favored, this still got nightmares, 20 years in the ACC. A lot of things haven't gone right against teams we should beat. And this is one of those teams we should beat, Georgia Tech. It's going to be a night game. I believe it's going to be a pretty good crowd, it being a night game, us being 4-0. One thing I will give the Canes the Canes family, I will give them this. When they see like that hype train starts to build up, we'll show up for a big game like this one. And while this isn't like a top 25 opponent, this is a very important game because after this, you got North Carolina, and then you got Clemson right after that. And then you got Virginia, and I believe after Virginia, you got FSU. So 3 of the next 5 games are games that going into the season, most people did not have us winning. That could change now because Clemson's not as good as we thought. North Carolina, they're 4-0. They're really good. FSU, good, solid team, not the juggernaut that we thought going in. They're a little, in my opinion, a little weak against the run, especially if you just run it straight up the gut on them. So, and that's kind of what we do best. But still, you got to win these games. These games that you should win, you got to win them. I'm not calling this a must win, but it's an important swing game because let's say, for example, worst case scenario, we drop the games against North Carolina and Clemson. Okay, well, at least we went 5-0 going into those games. You take care of business in this game, that's worst case scenario. Okay, at least you went 5, you come out of it 5-2, you're still in pretty solid shape. You can't drop the games against Georgia Tech, against Virginia, against Boston College. You got to take advantage, take care of business in those games. But Georgia Tech, some people are kind of sleeping on them. Some people are kind of thinking, Georgia Tech, it's going to be probably similar to what we did to Miami of Ohio, similar to what we did against Temple. I disagree. I think Georgia Tech is a considerable notch above those teams. Not a top 25 opponent by any means. I think they're like a top 40-ish, top 50-ish opponent. They're an ACC opponent. They always play it. How many times has Georgia Tech played us tough over the years? We've blown them out a few times over the years, too. Those years with Randy Shannon and early Al Golden years that Paul Johnson came with a triple option and we just shut it down. But then there's years here and there where Paul Johnson ran it down our throats. There's that time in 2014, we went up there and we couldn't get it done because Al Golden's defense would just lay an egg on every drive. I don't know if you remember that one. That's the one, kind of like the Notre Dame game, that we lined up on defense. 3 or 4 down linemen on the goal line, and they just walked into the end zone. That picture that gets shared all the time. We have had those moments too against Georgia Tech. So you got to make sure you take care of business. They're not going to lay down for us. That's for damn sure. But I feel good because I think we're getting a couple of these nicked up guys. I think we're getting them back. We're getting at least a couple of those guys back for this game. And it's going to be not a sellout crowd, but I think it's going to be a loud, raucous crowd. I'm expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 again, maybe a touch more. I think the paid attendance for A&M was 49,000. It felt like 69,000, 70,000 because of the energy and how loud it was. This is the blowout year. I hope so, man. I hope so. I hope this is the year that, they keep exceeding expectations because so far, I thought worst case we'd be 3-1 coming out of the first 4 games. So record-wise, it's around what I thought it was going to be. But man, that running game, the way the offensive line has played has exceeded my expectations. I thought it was going to be better. I thought we were going to be improved Like you have to be. I mean, just with the talent you added alone, you're going to be better. But they've made the leap from atrocious to one of the better O lines in college football. I don't know where they're ranked right now, but they're certainly up there. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on how I'm feeling right now. Just to kind of temper everybody's expectations, because while I am excited, I think, again, win this game, win this first ACC game, it'll set the tone for the rest of the ACC schedule, in my opinion. That's another reason why I think this game's important. Get off to that 5-0 start, because now, for all the people that predicted 7-5, 8-4, you start 5-0. Now you're thinking, okay, 5-0, 7 games left. You would have to go 2-5 or 3-4 in those last 7 games. I'm sorry, I look at that and I'm like, I just don't see that happening. We have too much talent to go 3-4 or 5-2 in those last 7 games. You know what I'm saying? So win this game, all of a sudden everybody's recalibrating their predictions, because now you're going into that big North Carolina game, which to me, I mean, I think that's everybody's calling, Texas A&M was the biggest game of the season. Yeah, now that we're past that, it was a big swing game. We won, still undefeated. It got everybody's confidence up. Like, okay, we can hang with the really good teams, or even beat the really good teams. But North Carolina, that may be the most important game of the season. Win that game, and it's going to be like the 2013 game against Florida all over again. That'll start a winning streak. I mean, this team can really take off if they beat North Carolina, but not going to get too ahead of myself. It is, it's a bye week. Time for people to get healthy. Hopefully we get as many guys back as possible. I'm hoping the weather's going to be all right for the Georgia Tech game, because, again, I think it's going to be such a great atmosphere and so many fans are going to want to be there. Please, the weather gods, if you're listening, please keep this a dry football game. If it's a wet game, hey, you know what? For once, we're actually the more physical team, so it's not like, oh my God, no, it's raining. No. It actually may help us in the end, because Georgia Tech, Haynes King having a really good year, they like to throw the ball around. So it may actually help us, but still, you want that beautiful weather for the night game. You want it to look good on national TV. Or I don't think it's national TV. I think it's ACC Network, but it should be a fun one. Hopefully all those things line up for us. I agree. North Carolina is the most important game. Yeah, I think it is. Because if you win that game, obviously Florida State is your arch rival. You're going on the road. Going into the season, the reason I think North Carolina is a more important one, again, it sets the tone. And also, that was a game that you marked as winnable, honestly. The FSU game is one a lot of people, maybe even today still, a lot of people still have us not winning that game. But you gotta win a big ACC game at some point. Right now, there's 3. There's 3 big ACC opponents left. It's Carolina, Clemson, and FSU. We were thinking maybe NC State. NC State's not looking that good, honestly. Now I'm thinking that's a game we should go on the road and should win. I had it as a loss, as one of my 4 losses. But then, Louisville looks really good. So, that's kind of a trade-off. But should be interesting. A lot of good football this weekend as well. But no, if you guys don't have any questions or anything, just wanted to give my thoughts, have a little espresso, a little Cuban coffee with you guys. And just kind of reflect on these last 4 games. It's been fun. I hope to see more atmospheres like we did against Texas A&M. I can't believe the next time we play on October 7th, our last, really, Bethune doesn't count. Sorry to say, I wasn't even there. There was no atmosphere at that game. The last real home game was A&M. That's a month before this game coming up. So the fans are going to be itching to see something. So that's another reason I think it's going to draw a little extra, more of a crowd. I love how Emory goes in and directs the offense. Listen, I'm really impressed with Emory's poise. I'm impressed with how comfortable he looks. I'm impressed with, and also his size. Emery's a legit every bit of 6'4", 200 plus pounds. So that's not a guy that you're going to have to worry about developing his body physically going into year two. So if that's who you have going in, as your starter going into next year, man, I'm good. I was like, well, let's see what happens. I thought maybe he might need another year or two. Um, just because he is coming in as a 3-star recruit, but then I mean, we all knew he was underrated. I think Emery's going to be an excellent leader. He's going to have a great career at Miami, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to like throw the team on his back, that kind of thing. I really think you're going to have to surround him with talent, and I think we will. The recruiting has been phenomenal. You already landed Malachi Tony for the 2025 class, I want to say. And then, of course, you're going hard after Jeremiah Smith, which I'm calling it right now. I think somehow, some way, Miami finds a way to actually, I'm going to say it. Screw it. I think somehow, some way, Miami finds a way to land Jeremiah Smith. I feel like our chances, like our percentage chance, it started at like 0.0001. It has steadily gone up over these last few months. We get a, air raid offensive coordinator. That helps us. Tyler's looking good in spring, looking good in fall. The receivers are improving. That helps us. We land Kevin Beard as our wide receiver coach. That helps us. We start recruiting all his buddies from that, that Raven squad. That helps us. Ohio State, their quarterback play doesn't look too good. Ohio State's still one of the, better teams in the country, probably a top 10, top 12 team. But that helps us. Brandon Inniss, not playing much yet. That helps us. It's like, do you see what it's like starting to pick up steam a little bit? And Jeremiah Smith supposedly is going to be at this Georgia Tech game, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, lot of reasons to be excited about that one. But if I had to pick if he's going to make his decision right now, is it Ohio State or Miami? It's probably still Ohio State right now. But we're picking up momentum. With every passing week, every passing month, I think we gain a little bit more ground there. I went off track. But yeah, the recruiting has been excellent, and I think we're gonna surround Emery with a lot of talent. John, your thoughts on coaches Shannon and Lance Guidry? Shannon Dawson and Lance Guidry. I think they've both done as good a job as you would hope. I mean, we'll start with the run defense. I think the run defense is only allowing under 2 yards a carry. I know that for sure. It's like 1.8, 1.9. I think they average like 48 yards a carry, something like that. 48 yards per game, not 48 yards a carry. Pass defense, could use a little work, but again, you're missing your All-American safety, so that's gonna not help. And you're missing a couple of starting D linemen. That's also gonna not help. And also, for all the people worried about the amount of pass plays that we gave up against Temple and the amount of wide open guys that they had, you got to remember Lance Guidry, just like Coach Dawson, is calling it very vanilla, because there's some blitzes and stuff that I think Lance Guidry is going to get ready to draw up here in the ACC schedule that it's going to impress some people. I think it's going to confuse quarterbacks, and he knows he's got Drake May waiting for him week 6. So he's got to be real careful not to show too much. So I think just like the offense, the defense is trying not to show too much. Okay, so keep that in mind. Coach Dawson, I mean, bravo. He's also done as well as I would have hoped. I mean, I did not expect us to drop nearly 50 points on Texas A&M, but we did. And Tyler Van Dyke, I mean, we all talked about how great Tyler Van Dyke was with Rhett Lashlee. That much better with Shannon Dawson, in my opinion. Obviously, being a couple years more mature helps. But man, it's like this perfect marriage of power spread and, power style run blocking downhill, mixed with that air raid style, which is a lot of zone blocking and guys getting open in the first 2-3 seconds, getting the ball out quick. It's the perfect marriage of those two ideas. And I said in the offseason, if you can make that work, I mean, the sky's the limit. But the key is making that work. Will that happen? Again, theme of the show. So far, so good. More Chris Johnson going forward. Yes, you're going to see his role increase quite a bit. You're going to see Jaden Wayne's role increase, I think. Ray Joseph, you might see more of him sprinkled in there. But, the good thing is Brashard is doing a great job. Whenever he's touched the ball, he's made a play, it seems like. Xavier Restrepo, I think, is the highest rated receiver in the country. So the slot receivers, if you don't see Ray in there too much, it's because the guys in front of him are doing great. Jacoby George, Kobe Young, they've been killing it out there. So it's like, I think I was listening to I think Bruce Warner was on Alex Dono's show, and he made a very good point. While rotating is important, some of the greats, like he mentioned, watching the Canes back in the 80s and 90s, it's like, I never saw Michael Irvin come out. I never saw like Ray Lewis come out. Like some of the greats, they stayed in there. They didn't get rotated out too much. Those top three receivers, they're not rotating out too much because they're playing out of their minds right now. Hang on. I listened to almost every Kane show. So many others are naysayers. Wish they would go support another team. We've been hurt, man. I think that's what it is, man. We've been hurt. But things are heading in the right direction. You'll see. Let's see. Have I covered everything? I think I have. Oh, shout out to Andy Borregales, who is proving me right as one of the best kickers in the country. I think he's been more than solid. Dylan Joyce, good job punting so far. No complaints there. The entire special teams, just like, limit the shooting yourself in the foot. No more muff punts for the rest of the season, please. No big deal against like a Temple or something like that. But man, you do that against a North Carolina, and it may come down to that you lost that game because of that play. So clean up those mistakes on special teams. Keep cleaning up the penalties, because I know we're not doing too well on the penalties. When you're just dominating on offense, penalties is one of those things that's kind of an overrated stat. If you're just dominating and you're playing a lesser opponent, it doesn't matter, but it could matter more in these bigger games. Clean that stuff up, which I'm sure they'll continue to do. Remember, it's year 2, guys. We'll be all right. There's going to be some challenges. Just, that first loss is coming. There's going to be a couple of losses. It's going to happen. But God, it's so much more improved. Not just from last year, from the last since 2017. I would argue that the 2016 team was the last best team we had. I know 2017 had that Notre Dame game, and they had the 10-game winning streak. They were pulling a lot of games out of their butt, though. I feel like the 2016 team, when they did win a game, it was more decisive. They had a better quarterback. I think that was our last really solid team, top 15 quality team. This is the best we've looked since then, honestly. And really, this offensive line looks way more physical than that offensive line. Way more. Line running back wheel route, we have to take care of that on defense. We will. I'm not too concerned. Again, look, we're probably getting Cam Kitchens back soon here. We're going to be blitzing more. We're going to be more aggressive. I'm not concerned. But anyways, it is 7:41. I know some football happening tonight. You guys go enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy some football. Enjoy time with your family. It's Friday. It's a bye week. Let your families see you this weekend. Take advantage. Spend some time with them, because maybe they won't see you much during the ACC schedule. But anyways, cheers, folks. And I will see you next time. Actually, you know what? Before I go, let me answer this question. Came last second. Chris Gons. John, I know FSU is a good team, but after their LSU win, is it me, or does FSU look vulnerable? Close wins at BC overtime. I'll leave you with this. FSU definitely looks vulnerable. Good, solid team, but they're vulnerable. That's all I'm going to say. Have a good night. Go Canes. Take care, everybody.